crafty friends, welcome back. It's Bethany, and in this video we are creating a very simple Christmas card. I have brand new product today from Simon Says Stamp. They did send this over to me to create with, and I can't wait to share the couple things that I got. So this is a really fun layering stencil, makes for quick and easy cards, and they also released another collection of their little mini ink cubes, and look at the colors, aren't they pretty? So I'm going to grab my big Misty, and everything I'm using will be linked below, but I'm going to use it to help me line up my stencils so that this is remaining a very quick and easy card. The first thing that I need to do is make sure that I have my paper centered where I need it. The little panel that you see here is actually going to be my final card panel, so I want to make sure that I have everything as centered as can be. So I'm taking my time there, taping it into position once I know. And once my paper is taped where it needs to be, then I can place my stencil right in that bottom left-hand corner each and every time. And as long as it's lined up, it will be good to go. I'm also using Post-it tape to mask off that little exposed paper at the top. That way I don't get any ink on it. Grabbing some blending brushes, I'm grabbing my pink brush for this pretty cheeky color. And for this part of the stencil, this is the top part of the seasons word, I'm going to go very light-handed. Instead of using a variety of ink colors, I'm simply going to use 2 ink colors, and I am going to just blend them a little bit differently, one a little lighter, one a little darker, to get 2 different tones. So this is a way that you can definitely stretch your craft supplies and create a different look. Now I'm going to line up that stencil once more in the bottom left-hand corner, and using the same cheeky color, this time I'm just going to ink blend a little bit heavier. And I want this just to be darker than the top. That way I have a little two-toned greeting. It'll be really, really pretty. All right, the reveal is the best part. I think that is so fun. Each and every time, I just love the reveal of a stencil. So I'll clean this off so it is nice and clean for next time, and then I can grab the second part of my stencil and the second ink color that I'm using. So for the bottom, I went ahead and used Tide Pool, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the word season and use a lighter hand on the top, and then I will go back and do a darker, more bold look on the bottom. So again, this is a wonderful way of stretching your ink colors. That way you can get different colors with the same ink pad or different tones. So now I'm lining up this last portion, and you can see that I'm not quite confident yet. It just doesn't look like it is quite lined up. So I'm going to just try it again, make sure before I put my ink on there that everything is really lined up. That way I get a very nice final result. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my blending brush, and let's go ahead and do a little bit darker this time, again to create more of a two-toned look. You can see there that I'm still kind of dragging that stencil to the left, hoping that it lines up, because it just doesn't look like it is at first. Once I reveal it, I see that my assumption is right, and it's just a little bit off on the bottom. So before I remove that panel, I'm going to slip another panel in, again because everything is all lined up. That way I can have everything ready to go for the next one without having to try and center everything with the new panel. So I'll tape that down and get this fresh panel ready to go, and I'm going to just try everything again. So same technique, same colors. I'll do everything the exact same way, but I want to try again and see if I can get that greetings portion of the card lined up much better. I am loving the concept of this stencil, allowing us to have a variety of color in the words. I think it's super fun. You could also get really creative with mixed media and do some fun pastes in here as well, just to really bring a different look to your card. Okay, so again, lining up that top greetings portion of the sentiment. This is the one that was just fine, so I'm going to go ahead and just align that up just like I did last time. And then I find myself wondering if maybe the tape is hindering the stencil from lining up just so, which doesn't really make sense because the top stencil was successful, but I'm just making sure that my tape doesn't touch the side of the Misty. And I'm doing that just to ensure I'm checking everything to make sure that I get a better look the second time around. So everything is nudged right into that bottom left corner, and I'll do a lighter tone on the top again with that Tide Pool ink. All right, now I'm bringing in the bottom part of that greetings, hoping that this works out. But as I'm looking at it, it's still a little bit off. So I end up dragging the little misty mat underneath a little bit to the right. And once I do that, everything lines up. So sometimes this happens, but I think this is still such a fun little stencil. And always just double check that everything lines up. And if not, you can just scoot it one way or the other and it'll turn out just great. I'm going to grab a really fun little sub-sentiment. Again, everything that I use will be linked down below. And I thought it would be neat to put the sub-sentiment right in between the words. I like that it just kind of rounds off the card, and I'll use a nice black ink. This is the Memento Tuxedo Black. It adds just the right amount of contrast, and I really love how this turned out. So this is a really delicate little stamp, so what I'm going to do is simply just lightly tap on this in order to place the ink on the paper, but I don't want to go too firm because I don't want it to be too bold. And there it is. Now with my A2 layer dies, I'm going to trim this panel down just a little bit more. I like the look of a smaller panel. I think it's so pretty. And then I'll just run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 to trim that out. Isn't that nice? Next up is the card base. So I am going to do a landscape card. I have a piece of 110-pound cardstock and I will score that at 4 1/4. My final dimensions will be 5.5 by 4 1/4 for this card, which is a standard A2 size card. I am finally at the very end of this foam tape. And if you see me using this in future videos, it's just because I have been recording out of order, but I bought that foam tape so big and it's just crazy that that is all gone now. So I used every last little bit of it to put on the back of this panel, and I'll get that all placed, take those little strips off, and then I'll center that just so. I love how that looks. I think it's really clean, really simple, and I love how the ink is just the statement there. My favorite sequins by far is definitely going to round out this card. I decided to go in little groups of 2, and I did 3 little groupings, and I really like how that looks. I think it's so fun. It's so playful, and I think it brings a really neat little look for a Christmas card. I hope you try this out, and if you do, please let me know. You could make it look unique each and every time by the colors that you choose. All right, I'll see you next time.